Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Midas Letter RAW.
How are you doing?
I'm feeling raw.
You feeling like you got a lot of energy?
Yes, I do, because I drank 2 bottles of white wine last night and smoked 1 big fatty and then went to bed and got up without enough sleep. And now I'm going to the train station to go to the plane station to get on a plane that's going to put me in Miami tonight, where I will resume my effusive exuberance for life at a bar in a warmer place. So yes, I'm a little excited.
Good for you. You know what? It's always fun. You ever notice that psychologically, leaving is always so much more fun than coming back?
Well, unless you've been away for a long time.
That's true, but then you're leaving there, so maybe you're leaving.
Well, but that's true. And you're going home.
You know what? If you live in the moment, if you can really live in the moment, and it's not easy to do, it's always it's the same, whether you're going there or coming back. What's the difference?
You're right. It is true. What Ed says is the truth. So today we've got a great show, everybody. We have, I don't have a piece of paper. Of course we have the headline news with news nurse Ricky Gerwitz. At 3:10, Adam Szweras is going to be here from Nutritional High. And then at 3:20, we'll talk to charting Man Dan, who's going to walk us through some interesting charts. 3:45, Ken Villazor is here. He's the CEO of Flowr One. And at 4 o'clock, the market shall close, and Ed and Fraser will probably walk you through the end of the market.
Yes.
And then at 4:10, Chris Naprawa is here from Khiron Life Sciences. We're going to be hearing
Isn't
from
Khiron
Chris.
Halted? It was halted yesterday and today, this morning.
Wonder why.
Well, we're going to find out.
Exactly.
That's why you tune into the show.
That's one of the reasons.
Jesus.
Entertainment, enlightenment, titillation, obfuscation.
Well, we don't want to confuse our viewers.
Or ourselves.
Well,
which is more prone to happen.
That's probably going to happen, that's for sure.
Anyways, here's
I'm confused.
Our favorite news nurse, Ricky Gerwitz, with the news.
Thanks, James, and here are the headlines moving markets today. Piper Jaffray raised its stock price target on Canadian cannabis company Canopy Growth Corp. Analysts Michael Avery and Jeffrey Kratke raised their target to $60 from $40 and reiterated their overweight rating on the stock. Piper is expecting the global cannabis market to be worth between $250 to $500 billion long term and to be worth between $15 to $50 billion near term. The Flowr Corporation announced that it has hired Darren Caplan, the first person in North America to earn a PhD with research focused on cannabis production. Dr. Caplan was awarded his doctorate by the University of Guelph in August 2018 and joins Flowr as Director of Plant Science. Darren Caplan adds depth to leading R&D capability that includes exclusive alliance with the Scott's Miracle Grow division. The Green Organic Dutchman Holdings Limited has entered into a definitive agreement with Queen Genetics Nud Jepson. The agreement will establish 2 50-50 joint ventures, the first for the purpose of producing commercial cannabis and cannabis oils, and the second for developing and patenting innovative and commercially valuable elite cannabis genetics. The parties will form both joint ventures in Denmark with a goal to expand the production JV into future low-cost European jurisdictions. International Cannabrands Inc. announced that it has closed the 4th tranche of its previously announced brokered private placement pursuant to an engagement letter with Gravitas Securities Inc. and Canaccord Genuity Corp. The company sold an additional 31 million units at a price of 10 cents per share. Each unit consisted of 1 common share and 1 common share purchase warrant for gross proceeds of more than $3 million. Each warrant entitles the holder to purchase 1 additional common share at a price of 15 cents per share for a period of 36 months. Khiron Life Sciences Corp has entered into a binding letter agreement dated January 24, 2019 to acquire 100% of NettaGrowth International Inc. The arm's length party will own, at the time of the completion of the transaction, all of the outstanding shares of Dormal SA, doing business as Canopor. Dormal has obtained the first license to produce medical cannabis with THC for commercialization in Uruguay. As consideration for the acquisition of NettaGrow, Khiron will issue over 8 million common shares to the shareholders of NettaGrow at a deemed price of $1.61 per common share. And that's your news for today.
Joining me now is Adam Szweras. He is the co-chairman of Nutritional High, trading on the CSE under the symbol EAT. Adam, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Adam, Nutritional High has been around for quite a number of years. I've been following it sort of with one eye. I didn't participate in it at any point yet, but so Give us
Well,
an
now's a
update.
great time.
Yeah, well, convince me.
Well, I mean, Nutritional High started out with a focus on Colorado. Over the last really 2 years, we've shifted most of our focus to California, Nevada, and the western U.S. So we right now have facilities in California, Northern California. We have a manufacturing facility. We also own a distributor that's either the largest or second largest distributor in the state, one of the largest, and wasn't before we bought it, so we're really proud of that. We have we're still continuing on in Colorado. We have just opened up a facility in Oregon making edibles and extracting oil, and we've just signed a deal with a privateer subsidiary to make their products in Washington and Oregon as well.
Ooh, privateer, that's a big deal. Those are the guys who put Tilray on the map.
Yep, and so we're doing the Marley Naturals products in Colorado, and not in Colorado, sorry, in Washington and Oregon, and that's just starting right now. So it was a great vote of confidence to see that happen.
No doubt. So the product line is all about edibles and extracts.
Edibles, extracts, oils, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what sort of volume of sales do you do, and who do you sell it to?
Well, really, we sell it to dispensaries, so we don't sell to retailers ourselves. We don't have any retail operations. In California, we own a distributor, so most of our revenue right now, a big chunk of the revenue is from this distributor, Calyx Distribution. Is one of the, as I mentioned, one of the largest. Since we bought it, when we bought it, it was running at about $200,000 a month in revenue, and now it's up to $1.3 million, $1.5 million US. In the first 6 months, or just over 6 months of owning it, we did $11 million in revenue, and just ramping it up. And we're creating, what we wanted to do with that is create a pipeline in order to sell our products that we're starting to manufacture now in California. We've been doing it white labeling on a very small basis, and now that our Sacramento facility is being ramped up, we're going to be able to expand that significantly. We're going to be selling our own extracted cold ethanol extracted oils, chocolates. And we have a bunch of other innovative products, mini mints, small mints that will give you the nice microdose of THC, but won't give you all the calories.
And you won't need a wheelchair.
No, not unless you eat a whole box. So
that's quite the sales numbers. Now, do you what kind of gross margin do you realize on your sales generally?
So on the distribution, we have in the neighborhood of 18 to 20% gross margins, and on the edibles, that's much higher. So the gross margins in Colorado, where we have a longer history, is pretty decent. It's in the neighborhood of 50% plus gross margins. In California, we think we'll even be able to do better as we ramp up our facility.
So you're going to sell all of your products through distributors who distribute then to the dispensaries?
Yes. So, or either through or our own distributors. So in California, it's our own. In Colorado and elsewhere, we don't own the distributors, but we are looking at strategies to own that pipeline. Okay,
where do you get your input, your cannabis, THC, CBD?
Growers. So we don't grow. We don't want to take the risk of growing. We're not. I mean, I can't say we're good at growing. We're not growers. We're good at making oils, extracting oil, and making edible products. And that's the people we have around our company. They're not me, it's them. They're great at it. We have Billy Morrison, who's one of the almost founding directors. He was there almost on day one. And his approach to oil extraction has been amazing. I mean, he's this technical genius. And we have Jim Fraser, who's our CEO, and he's run chocolate factories, not marijuana chocolate factories, but chocolate and edibles facilities throughout the eastern U.S. And built companies.
Well, sounds great. So is the company profitable, and if not, when will it be?
No, it's not profitable, and I don't want to project when it will be because we're in growth mode. We have a lot of growth that we're
So you keep putting
pursuing.
all your money made, all your free cash flow goes back into the
We're
company.
putting it into expansion.
Okay.
So even in the distributor, as new products are coming on online, we're looking at expanding our pipeline and to bring partner products and our own products, and that takes marketing dollars. It takes just
Sure.
going in and making sure that the dispensaries are carrying it.
Okay, so how many shares are out?
So we have about 300 million shares.
Okay.
Our market cap is about just under $80 million. So especially compared to some of the others out there, we're very cheap. So you said to convince you to invest. So I think our biggest competitor is probably Origin House.
Okay.
And if you look at their, I think they're 47 times revenue multiple with their $500 million market cap, and we're 7 times.
Wow.
We also have a facility we're buying in Nevada. It's operational, so we'll be in Nevada shortly. And we're starting to roll that out. And we have a joint venture in Canada. So we'll be in the biggest markets and the best markets in short order, along with California and the others.
Great. Okay, well that's great, Adam. I'm glad to see that you guys have captured so much market share. That's impressive. We'll come back to you in a quarter's time and see how the year is progressing. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Enjoying the show, everybody? Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Now we've got our old friend, charting man Dan McDermitt is here, all the way from Asheville, North Carolina, and he is joining us via Skype. Dan, welcome.
Hello, Dan.
Glad to be back, James.
You bet. So, Dan, let's get started on some of the large caps are exhibiting what I would interpret as a steady and continuous accumulation.
Absolutely. Let's start it off by saying I was wrong last time I was on your show. It's very important that people in my position, whether we're technical analysts or fundamental analysts, we have to be able to admit we're wrong, because in this market, you're going to get humbled a lot and you're going to be wrong a lot, especially, myself as a day trader. I take 1,000 trades plus a year. I'm wrong hundreds of times. So it's important. It's almost a red flag when you see someone that isn't able to admit they were wrong. So I was saying that, in my opinion, we're not going to see the major cap names make the kind of percentage moves that the small caps names were making. And then, 2 days after I said that, of course, we see an upgrade on CGC. We see New York hemp news come out. We get another upgrade today, and the bulls are just on absolute fire in this sector. And it's one of the most significant shifts in sentiment, both for the S&P 500 and the Canadian MJ sector, that I've seen ever. So it is very notable, the strength that we're seeing the last month.
Yes, it is, Dan, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you start off the interview pointing out where you were wrong last time. That is remarkably a remarkable signal of your integrity, and we really appreciate that. That's exemplary. In your opinion, and I realize that as a chartered technical analyst that you don't necessarily focus on these things, but I'm just wondering, in your opinion, does the shift in sentiment to the most effusive manifestation of sentiment that can be imagined, does that strike you as fundamentally driven by anything? Like, I can't put my finger on anything. In fact, if I try to put my finger on any fundamentals, all I come up with the massive negative threats of, Brexit disaster, the China-U.S. trade war, Donald Trump going to jail. I mean, all these things are, I don't see any reason for exuberance.
Yeah, it's very odd. I mean, that's why it's so unusual. It's an anomaly. We expected, a few weeks to bounce for both oil and the S&P 500, which was the trigger for the Canadian MJ sector to get some confidence back. But again, like you say, I mean, there's so many overhanging risks still that the market is completely ignoring. So at this point, we're not trying to fight the bulls, but we're also remaining pretty cautious because things are, like you said, there's these uncertainties. As far as fundamentals, I mean, CGC with that hemp news was definitely a big boost. That shows that the Farm Bill did have a significant impact in terms of opening the doors to some of these major players in the Canadian space. And it also, affirms what we assumed would be true with these Canadian players going to come down, especially when recreational, starts to get some laws changing in the U.S. CGC, Canopy is going to be at the forefront. So that's getting priced in as well. But yeah, like you said, this is just a complete shift in sentiment. It's almost like everybody said, well, I guess the sky isn't falling. So these companies' fundamentals long-term haven't changed. Let's get back in bullish.
You bet. Okay, so now technically, does your research indicate that this sort of effusiveness, this bullish sentiment, is poised to continue and take the market higher, or as we've sort of been tossing back and forth here, do you think that that the S&P run has kind of gone as far as it can without some corrective sort of period?
We're definitely looking for the S&P 500 to see some weekly consolidation. Due to the size of the bounce at this point, we will anticipate that it's going to form a higher low and initially at least be some healthy consolidation. We have the tech sector earnings coming up next week. We're going to get into the heart of it. So that could be a potential catalyst for some profit taking, but it could also be, a reason to continue this overextended bounce and see further upside. So yes, I am very cautious as a bull at this point, and I'm actually starting to establish some hedge positions in terms of entering the S&P 500 bearish to protect longer-term portfolio positions. But at this point, it's just no signs of weakness. But we know that when that weakness comes, just like we saw the sentiment shift bullish, we can just as easily shift that sentiment back to bearish as well.
Right. Interesting. Okay, let's walk us through some of your charts here.
So we're going to start it off here with the S&P 500 on the weekly, just the extreme V-shaped recovery with the big 3-week dump and then the big month-long recovery. And again, there's no sign of slowing down at this point. So what we want to see on the daily time frame to indicate that weekly consolidation is coming is a loss of the uptrend. So every time we get a brief consolidation, we establish a new level of support, and then we see continuation, and then new support, continuation. Just recently, we saw this consolidation this past week just now. Another higher low has formed, and here are the bulls attempting this continuation. We're testing this resistance right now. So at this point, we have to lose the daily higher low pattern to indicate weekly consolidation is coming. So the most important level on SPY here for me is 260.66. And if we look at just the last 3-4 days and compare it to CGC, we can see that it is very significantly correlated, where here's CGC the last 3 or 4 days. We had 2 days of a pullback, an inside bar, which means the range of the trading day fit completely within the range of the previous day, and then a big bull move today, obviously on the back of that upgrade. And just going back to SPY on the daily, a couple days of consolidation, inside bar, and here are the bulls trying to make that bull break. So very correlated as far as this week goes, with the bulls definitely favored in CGC due to that news upgrade. But you look at the weekly chart for CGC, and this is so unusual. Usually it stairs up, elevator down is the general term that people use to describe markets. And this was, a fast pullback and then just a V-shaped recovery. This is an escalator up. It took, 2.5 months to pull back, and then we got all that back in just 3 weeks. So significant impact of news. But we also have some names here that are a bit more bullish, in my opinion, just due to where their positioning is on the chart. So looking at Khiron, that's been enjoying all-time highs, the ideal scenario for bullish positions is all-time highs. You have no resistance. It's a lot easier for the bulls to run and see continuation. And so we were really just at a better launching pad point. Khiron had that news deal, and that gave a bit of a bullish push up. Then we were able to absorb the market weakness better. And so that launching point was from a better point to get us to all-time highs right now. We also have other names. The U.S. names IIPR, which is an REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. This was the first ever IPO on the NYSE for a marijuana stock. They're enjoying all-time highs as they're keeping a really strong weekly uptrend intact. So there are bulls out there that are in blue sky breakouts, and certainly the entire sector is seeing strength, but ideally we want to be in names that have no resistance to speak of, and Khiron and IIPR are 2 examples of that.
Right. Okay. So you don't think that the price appreciation in that such a convincing form constitutes overbuying at this point?
I definitely do. If you are in, long bullish positions at this point, you're very, very comfortable. It's very easy to protect those positions in terms of, a break-even stop loss, depending on when you got in. But the risk to reward on entries at this point is not favorable. You want to wait for weekly consolidation. We've actually been saying that for a week or two, and obviously, not nailing the top at this point, but that it's still the same case. We are overextended. We are seeing exuberance to the upside, just like we saw despair to the downside. And bullish entries after a month-long bounce is not the right risk to reward entry, in my opinion. It's best to wait for consolidation if not already in positions at this point.
You bet. Okay.
Dan, Ed Milewski here. That S&P chart, would you say the likelihood of if like that we had a high about 3 days ago or 4 days ago, and now we're testing it again? What do you think the likelihood is that we're going to go through that? Like, do you think it's getting a little too bullish right now?
The odds favor the bulls. I mean, we're right there at that level. The healthy daily consolidation that we just saw was another little daily bull flag. There were no red flags for the bulls on that consolidation in terms of, increasing bear volume or breaks of key support. That just didn't happen. So essentially, in my opinion, what it's going to take to derail the S&P 500 bulls at this point, it's going to have to be bearish reactions to these major tech sector names that are coming up. We've got Amazon, Apple, Google, pretty much everybody but Netflix has yet to report. So I think that the market bulls are going to be able to hold on just fine unless we start to see these bearish reactions to these earnings reports.
You bet, Dan. Okay, well, that is enlightening as ever, and we really appreciate your continued participation. But we'll leave it there for now and come back to you soon. Thank you very much, Dan.
All right, thanks, James. Have a great day.
You too.
See you, Dan. Earth Dad. Wake up, Ed. We're here.
Hey, folks. Yeah, we are here.
You know what? There's only two things you know for certain: that you're here and it's now.
Yeah.
It's always here and now.
It's always here and now, especially when there's a slight bit of technical issues.
Yeah.
Just a wee bit. But
So
that's okay.
lots of action here in the world of finance.
There certainly has been.
Bay
And
Street, Wall Street.
whatever street. One thing I've been noticing today above most days is there seems to be some mining action going on.
Well, something happened, and I haven't had a chance to look at the economic calendar, but something happened today because every commodity is roaring. Like copper's up 8 cents. That's like 3%, something like that. Gold's up $17 an ounce. Oil's up, platinum's up, palladium's up, tin's up. What's going on?
I don't know.
Well, that's what everybody wants to know.
Let's figure it out.
Let's not go look at some other show to find out. The answer is here.
Yeah. Here and now.
Here and now. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Do you want to look at a specific company first, or first just?
No, look at. Let's just. You know what? And again. Yeah.
Right. Oh.
James.
So,
you look
folks, James,
you got a shower. You nice shampoo. Your hair is nicely coiffed.
I'm James in another dimension. James actually had to get on a flight.
Yeah.
Immediately. So he took off, and here we are. But we still have a lot of good stuff lined up. Yes, as one viewer pointed out, the charisma is going to take a little bit of a dive.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
I want to. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so let's put up the chart here that I have in front of me. It's called the Spider Gold Trust, which is the major gold ETF, and it tracks gold dollar for dollar.
Spider. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I'm down.
Okay, so do we see any charts up here? Any charts? Charts action.
We might have to get that NDI up and running.
Is my NDI working? No.
NDI.
Well,
you talked about one. That might take a second to get it up and running.
Okay, fine, but
we talked about a couple of stocks that were actually moving, maybe as a result of that, maybe not. Hard to say.
We have the biggest day. We had Victor Cantori on yesterday,
right?
And I thought the thing was going to pull back because it opened in low 60s. Now, okay, we'll get back to that in a minute, but let's look at the gold chart. So look at this.
This is the big one.
This is the big trust. So this is approximately what the gold chart looks like. So you can see here, there's a bottom, then it blasted up, and that's a. Oh, geez, I gotta change this around here, folks. Sorry about that.
What numbers are we looking at there?
This is a 1-year chart, okay? 1-year chart of gold, 1-year chart of gold, and it bottomed here 6 months ago, looks like. And this was a vicious downward trend, vicious.
So in that case, would you say the trend is your friend?
Trend is your friend. It's down, down, down. You're thinking, well, I want an entry point. But then this downward trend broke, and we had a little sideways consolidation, and then a breakout to the upside, and it's been trending up now, right? And today, I'm going to just clean that up here, and then I want to look at a shorter term chart of gold.
So can I just ask you what this?
Yeah.
What's the overall number mean for us? So, what is it? 122.79.
Well, okay. So there's a spread between the spider trust number and the actual commodity number.
Right.
And that's to do with storage. It has to do with slippage. It's just the way these things work. But the pattern's virtually the same.
Slippage?
Well,
Shrinkage?
well,
Slippage.
Slippage is when after you've been drinking a lot and you sort of slip and fall.
Right.
And shrinkage, that's what happens later on
So
that night.
polar bears, right? Yeah.
You look at this. Look at this little. I think this is important here because it looks as though gold. Stop. It looks as though gold is about to break out of this topping area here. There's a bit of a, we broke down, but now we're above that line I just drew. Yeah, it looks significant, and all the commodities are really hot. I think silver is up about 50 cents. And so
Does that have anything to do with the, obviously probably the U.S. dollar?
Well, yeah, it's all tied in. There's no question, But if there was a view that maybe there was going to be some stagflation, like no growth, but they keep printing money. You got inflation, but no growth, stagflation. Money moves to bullion.
Bullion.
Like you might have some beef bouillon tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gold. We had Victor Cantori on last night. I'm going to bring this up quickly. They're in Val-d'Or, and they're drilling, and they pulled some spectacular.
The Valley of Gold.
Valley of Gold.
Val-d'Or. That's what it is.
Valley of Gold, and there's all kinds of mining operations there. It's very accessible. A lot of gold's been mined. And today, I'm going to put this chart up. Amex, which is
AMX, right?
ticker is AMX.
Yep.
Okay, let me get this up. AMX.
You were excited about this over lunch.
Well, I was excited. I was excited over the beer I had in front of me.
No. But you said something along the lines of over the past 10 years, or something like that.
I say okay. So if you look at a chart of we're going to put that up. Good point. Okay. Get it up there.
AMX, right?
No, I got wrong stock. That's okay. Just 1 second. We're here. AMX. So in 10 years, this is what we have. This is adjusted for all the consolidation. It's been rolled back. So there's roughly 45 million shares floating around. All of a sudden, we've got a great big downward trend. And then, we got this action here, right? And this is over 10 years. I think up until about the last couple of weeks, there's only been one day in this whole 10-year period where it's traded more than 1 million shares. And that might have been somewhere in here. I can't make a long story short. I think we've now have 7 days over 1 million. Today, I think we're approaching 2 million. Today's the most volume ever.
Yeah.
And it was a bad day yesterday on the candles. I thought, this thing's going to pull back to low 40s. And then all of a sudden, this buying starts coming in. And, this is like, wait a minute. When the charts should do a certain thing and it doesn't, that's because it seems like something's going on. What's going on? The volume's up. They're drilling for gold. They found 13 ounces a ton in one of their last released hole. They've said they've hit this vein in the next hole that's coming out, and they're drilling hole number 24 as we speak. God only knows, and maybe management. Okay, so just to keep your eye on this, because if it starts to, the volume keeps going, and I think if we close in the 50s today after it got to 57, pulled back. Let me just show some of the shorter term action.
Look at Kronos continue to just rip away. 21. Yeah, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, so here we are. This is very short term. This is 10 days. So we've gone from 20 cents 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Hit 62, and we hit 57. So we've got, oh, jeez. We've sold off sharply. I thought that, we've probably got a couple red days coming. May pull back to low 40s. I think it touched 45. Tried to run again, and then the sellers came in, and they've won. And I think right now we're trading at 52. If I'm not mistaken, that's correct. 52. We're 51. Anyway, volume is everything, and there's not a lot of stock in this thing. Victor's got a great reputation, and he had the land that became Nemaska, and Nemaska is putting a lithium mine in, big project. So there you go. Now let's talk about some marijuana.
Well, I keep seeing,
Kronos is just unbelievable.
It seems to be protected from the downside. It's like it doesn't have a bad day. I don't understand.
I think it's because relative to its market cap, there's a lot of cash. You know what I mean?
Its market cap, though, has become, it's slid into, I believe, the third
or fourth?
Third place.
And this is the one that Citron Research said this is doggy doo-doo.
Yeah.
Guess what? It ain't doggy doo-doo.
I've been there.
Or
right?
maybe it's Marmaduke.
I've been there.
Marmadog.
I've been there. I've shot their operations.
Been there, done that?
Yeah, they're a very good company. I like Mike Ornstein.
They've convinced Altria to throw in just a little bit of money, $2.5 billion.
Yeah, but I mean, exactly. Relative to their market cap, it's quite a lot
of cash. So they're going to have a lot of maneuvering ability. They're going to be able to use that cash to acquire M&A activity.
I guess, but what's really interesting to me is they weren't immune to the fluctuations of the market at some point until recently. I guess maybe the latter half of 2018 and up till now have sort of been able to skip the downside when everybody else was getting pulled down big time. Especially more recently, they've been able to not go with the pack and kind of stay where they're at and then enjoy the upside too. So they've gone from, I remember when they were, $7-8 and now it's,
well, look.
Flirting with 21. It's sort of like,
it's 21. That's a 6-month chart. Can we put that chart up, please? Yeah, we've broken out of that high. This high here.
What's this, a year?
This is a 1-year chart. And this high here, which is right after the big announcement, it corrected substantially.
Yeah, but you're not going to see other companies with the same.
Oh, this is when they did it right here, because it only pulled back to here. But look at this the chart, and it got a little ahead of itself here. It pulled back. I can do this little smiley face here.
I like that.
Anyway,
a lot of companies would love to have that chart.
Well, I think the market cap now is
3.7 billion.
Close to 4 billion, yeah.
Yeah.
And we today, Canopy Growth.
Yeah. Well, they had that report about raising their price from 40 to 60 or something like that.
Yeah, so. I know, but a lot of times I've seen reports come out and nothing happens.
The last time this happened with the same firm, though, it lifted about 12%, if I'm not mistaken.
Dan, the chart man.
Yeah.
We talked about that thing is on. It looks like it's on fire. I'm a bit surprised and flummoxed.
Yeah. Flummoxed?
Flummoxed.
I like that. Well, if you're flummoxed, maybe you have a little bit of anxiety. And if you have anxiety,
it's a good.
Cannabis is known to be a bit of a medical wonder drug when it comes to anxiety.
Right.
And nobody knows more about this than Adamo Barbieri, our very own, who would like to share a little story with us, folks.
So anxiety is obviously a very potentially debilitating condition that millions of people suffer from. Anxiety has to be managed through lifestyle changes, through sleep hygiene and improving your sleep quality, through exercise, and this is really the gold standard and the best therapy for anxiety. But despite that, a lot of people still, despite doing all of that, suffer from chronic anxiety. And so the next step after that is typically pharmaceuticals. So there's really two classes of drugs we use for anxiety. So the first is SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and it blocks your brain's ability to break down serotonin. The second class of drugs that we use are benzodiazepines. And benzodiazepines are drugs like Xanax or Ativan or clonazepam, and they're actually quite addictive and they have a number of side effects, and we're just learning that long-term use of these may be impairing your brain's ability to heal. It may be increasing your risk of falls, memory issues, perhaps even associated with dementia. And so there's actually a big genuine concern in the medical community about benzodiazepines. So cannabis works on the body in extremely complicated ways, and there's different cannabinoid ingredients and there's different terpene ingredients. So when you talk about cannabis, there's about 400 ingredients in the plant, so it's extremely complex. Nonetheless, we do know that cannabis works on a number of different receptors in the body, and it regulates a lot of different systems. And so it's all about using what we call like a microdose of THC, or just sticking to high CBDs with very low THC. Now at the Cannabis Clinics, owned and operated by Aleafia, we're extremely proud that we've just published a study in the Journal of Cannabis and Cannabinoid Therapy. And what we learned in this retrospective analysis on 150 patients was that after 6 months of coming to our clinics, 1 of 2 patients who came into the clinic stopped their benzodiazepine use. Cannabis doesn't work on the same areas of the brain as Xanax. So, you know, Xanax you can consume too much or mix it with alcohol and you can get a lethal dose and you can die from it. People do die from benzodiazepine overdoses. But with cannabis, that is completely eliminated. There are no brainstem receptors, so you can't have an overdose with cannabis. So from our lens, it's a much safer alternative.
Time? Hey, I'm joined in this segment with Ken Villazor, who's the CEO of Flowr Holdings, which trades on the CSE under the symbol FONE. Ken, how's it going?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Glad to have you on. So let's just do a quick little wrap up of what your company is all about and what you've got going on right now.
Sure. Well, we had the opportunity back in December to be here with James, but to kind of give everyone an introduction to the company. We're a US-based cannabis company. We're focused currently in the Nevada market. I think what makes us really unique is 2 things. We're really focused on the front part of the value chain. We really want to offer, particularly to established brands that want to enter the Nevada market, the opportunity to work with us, as we basically will produce from seed to finished product to fulfill at retail level. And so that's really the opportunity for us to partner with brands and really gain them efficient and quick market entry into Nevada. Secondly, we're, in terms of scale, we will be the largest cultivator and producer in the state. We're currently converting a 400,000 square foot greenhouse just north of the Strip, about 15 minutes north of the Las Vegas Strip. And so when that's completed, it will have, in addition to the 400,000 square feet, a 55,000 square foot production facility. So that's one of our facilities. And then just in November, we were fortunate to acquire a company called North Las Vegas Organics, which is a 25,000 square foot indoor cultivation production facility, and that is a fully operating facility today. So we're already growing, harvesting, and producing product in the market.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit off air about that. You've got the indoor grow going, and the greenhouse grow, 400,000 square feet, and you were saying it's not something that's going to be done in phases. What's the time frame we can expect that you'll be harvesting?
So we started the conversion of the greenhouse in April of last year, May of last year, really, and in just a short 9 months, the Flowr One team has done really a tremendous job. So we're now at the stage where, within the matter of weeks, possibly as early as next week, we'll begin transferring plant material into the greenhouse, and we'll begin a process that will be fairly quick. We're looking at, I would say, once we're putting plants into the flower zone, we have 8 zones. It will only take us 8 to 10 weeks to canopy the entire greenhouse. So we will be fully canopied in Q2 of this year, and we'll do our first harvest in Q2 at the greenhouse.
Wow, that's exciting. So, and that's huge. Like, people don't realize 400,000 square feet is quite a big one.
It is.
Yeah. So, and you touched on it before about your partnerships with brands. You've got 4 press releases in the last couple of weeks, and they're all sort of centered around that concept. So, why don't we just go through some of the partnerships that the company's created?
Sure. I think it's, as you said, we've had quite a few releases in the last couple of weeks. I think it's a real reflection of the team and how much effort they've put into this. So really, just to kind of take a step back, if you're a brand that wants to enter the market in Nevada, it's very difficult to do that because you have to be licensed to sell in the state. Mm-hmm. And then you really have to build out your facilities to be able to grow and generate the finished product. And so we've come into the market in Nevada, and really our value proposition to those brands is to say, we can accelerate your market entry, and we can ensure that you're working with a partner that has the volume to and the precision to consistently supply you and ensure that you've got that steady presence on retail shelves in Nevada. So I would say 4 months ago, the team began the process of coordinating and working with a number of brands to evaluate who we would want in our portfolio of brand partners. And I'd say the last couple of weeks and the announcements that we've had are just really a reflection of that hard work. So we have 4 that we've announced. We've done Flight Concentrates, which is a Canadian company. Mm-hmm. Rapid Dose Technologies, which is again another Canadian company with some very innovative, with a very innovative delivery platform. And 2 California companies, Old Pal, which is quite well known. It's one of the fastest growing brands in the state, and Palms Premium, which is also in California.
And that's another company that's more about the brand or the technology behind it?
Which one?
Sorry, the Palms.
Palms. So both Palms and Old Pal are really about the brand.
Yeah.
Palms is a mid-tier pre-roll company.
Okay.
That's had great success in California. And Old Pal, similar, but they're really focused on packaged flower. So they offer, really, when you look at the pricing spectrum, Old Pal is really geared to the value part of the pricing spectrum, which has a strong market in California, and we believe it has a strong market in Vegas. I think a good analogy is if you were to look at the Strip and the hotel offerings along the Strip, there's a hotel property for every price point.
Right.
And we certainly think the retail shelf space in Nevada will reflect that too. And Old Pal has done a tremendous job. They're really a fairly new brand. They're only a year old, but they've very quickly gained market share. They have a tremendous team of brand builders in that company. They're led by an individual that we've come to know over the last 4 months and really like working with them. So we're excited to bring that product to the market. In fact, we'll have Old Pal in the market before our first harvest. We have quite a bit of strategic inventory built up at our indoor facility, and so we're able to deploy that for Old Pal and really get them onto retail shelves hopefully next month.
Okay, so the two California companies, it's more about the brand and recognition, and then the Canadian ones, it's like the rapid dose technologies.
Yeah.
Maybe let's just touch on what attracted you to those two Canadian operations.
Sure. So with rapid dose technologies, they have a unique patented delivery platform called Quick Strips. So essentially, it's a quick dissolve, thin film that you basically place it on your tongue and it dissolves almost immediately. And for us as a company, for Flowr One, when we look at our composition of brand partners, we want to be sure that we sort of cover every product SKU across the pricing spectrum, and then within those different pricing verticals of a value brand, a mid-tier brand, and a luxury brand, we want to be sure that we cover off a range of SKUs from packaged flower to oils to vape pens to concentrates to infused edibles to topicals. And so what's really unique about RDT's technology is, there's such a unique platform in terms of that product spectrum. It really doesn't exist in any strong way in the market today, but we believe that type of delivery platform has a lot of value. It's quick, it's convenient, it's discreet. And when you think of the Vegas market, where it's really difficult to consume cannabis because you're not allowed to, certainly in Las Vegas hotels, that type of discrete technology does allow you to have the experience and do so in a very discreet way. And so
without taking up a lot of time and all that.
Exactly. And so again, we know, there's a product out there for every consumer. There's a lot of first-time consumers who really aren't interested in smoking a pre-roll or interested in any type of smoke-related product like a vape pen.
Sure.
And so it's a very easy way, an approachable way for a first-time consumer to be introduced to a cannabis product.
Would that be considered an edible?
It is, yeah.
Okay,
We consider it an edible.
Yeah.
In terms of when we look at our product spectrum and our offerings.
Okay. Yeah. The flight concentrates, that's pretty much self-explanatory. I guess they're concentrates.
They are. It's another great Canadian company. They've had a lot of traction here, particularly in Western Canada. They've got a unique vape pen with ceramic coil technology. And they also have another unique product, which is it's about the size of a credit card. And they have these 10 milliliter snap packs, which are infused with either a THC or a CBD concentrate. You basically break that snap pack, and you can take the concentrate and infuse a drink. Put it in water and quickly take it as an infused beverage.
Oh,
so it's a great product. And again, for us as a company, we like the idea of being able to bring to the buyers at the retail level a good range of products and product SKU offerings.
Okay, great. And then just finally, we were talking a bit about this. So the end game for Flowr One is you sell to retailers,
yes.
But there's not like a favorite or anything like that. How do you go about doing?
Right. So for us, we really view all of the retailers, the dispensaries in the state, as our customers. And we're not vertically integrated for that reason. As a company, we'll basically cultivate, we'll process, and we'll create a finished product, and we'll fulfill at retail level, but we won't get involved directly in retail operations. We've certainly been approached about being vertically integrated, but our position is we don't want to compete against our customers in that part of the value chain. So, that's really important to us, and the opportunity in Nevada, there's about 65 operating dispensaries in the state today, and that will double basically by the end of this year. So the state issued about 65 additional provisional licenses in December, just last December, and those provisional license holders will have about a year to get their retail outlets up and running. And so if you kind of work back from that timeline, All of them will be essentially be doing their tenant improvements or the build out of their retail, likely Q2, Q3 of this year, and then begin ordering to fill their shelves. And so with that doubling of the retail footprint, and with us doing our first harvest in Q2, we think we're very fortunate. Our timing is perfect in terms of being able to supply those additional 65 retailers.
Yeah, so you're expecting kind of a sharp revenue increase towards the latter half of the year.
I don't know if it'll be sharp, but we definitely think there'll be a noticeable increase in supply requirements in Nevada.
Okay, great. Well, Ken, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope to have you on again some point in the future.
Great, love to come back.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thanks.
If you like the show, you'll love our website. Visit us at www.midasletter.com for interviews with key CEOs, trends, and cannabis news, and to subscribe to our newsletter.
Camera one, Fraser.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Good to see you again. We're sitting here with Ed. We're talking about stocks just now. I think we're going to take a look at a couple of the big movers today. We had Emblem is the big standout at EMH.
I got Emblem up right now.
15%
I got it up right now.
Yeah, big move.
Big mover.
You like the action?
Would you say it was a bit of a BM?
I don't know if I'd say that. I'd say it was more
big
of a
mover.
Well,
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
You
had me at hello. Okay.
Okay.
No, that's a 15% move today.
So let's look at. Here's a 6-month chart. Look at this action. Now, I'll make a point.
Yes. Make said point.
This is look at the last time we had a big candle like this. It took another week or so, or 2 weeks of big candle. Nice digestion, and go get some more food.
Yeah.
Look at that. But a big candle also means that would you buy it here now unless maybe.
I think overall, is it safe to say we're seeing big green moves, unlike we've seen in the last little while.
Well,
at least 6 months.
we've also had this, to what Dan said.
Yeah.
The S&P is it's gone from abject fear.
Poverty.
Holy smokes, the world's going to end, and we've had a major move in the Nasdaq. So, yeah, nice trend happening here. So that's Emblem. Look at that from this year. If you'd have bought it around tax loss selling, which is when you would have got the best buys, you would have made 50% on your money or more, a little bit more, 60%, 65%. So. Why would you put money in a GIC? Just buy Emblem at the end of the year.
Yeah, or how about a 1-day return of 15%?
What about that? Well, why we really need someone in here that can tell us the morning before it happens.
Yeah.
Is that easy to do?
But what do you get?
I'm not so sure.
What do you get on a high interest savings account?
Well, if you get say 3%,
yeah,
3% divided by 12, that gives you a quarter a month divided by 30, and you're talking about 0.01% a day.
Yeah.
And compared to 15, you're talking about 1,500%.
Exactly.
So you either buy Emblem today or you put your money in a GIC. No, we're kidding here. You just can't do some of this stuff. Every commodity I'm looking at is up big. Copper's up almost 9%, and we always. Dr. Copper, Steve Dunn,
Crown Mining.
Look, it's got the deposit. There's a very well-noted geo down in Reno, Mr. Cole. He believes that's going to be a mine. You can find a video where he talks about this is going to be a mine. Nobody gives a shit right now. And resource stocks are at the lowest relative value to S&P than they've ever been.
Yeah.
100-year, you're getting deals, but nobody cares. But that's when you have to do it.
So, just to take Crown as an example, what's the market cap of
We're going to look.
Crown?
We're going to look.
Because if you had to talk about the market cap of that company relative to, let's say, what they may have underneath the
Yeah, well, they have
dirt.
They you know, Placer drilled it and said, you know, we have, you know, at least 2 billion pounds.
2 billion.
2 billion pounds. Not
Yes.
Not. This is a. They have 2 million pounds. I'm sorry, 2 billion.
Yeah.
Did you say billion pounds?
Yeah.
And that's not the chart.
No.
I can only move so fast.
Well, we're
here.
getting off the script a bit, but this is just to prove a point. The
Okay,
market cap
so
of,
yes, CWM
of Crown.
CA. That's 3 months, 6 months. So you know, here's a
Crown
2-year
mining.
chart. Now we did have a bit of a spike last year. I was pretty aggressive in some buying there, and I convinced some people to take a position.
Yeah, but look at the market cap.
Well, the market cap.
3.56 million.
Yeah.
3.56 million.
And they have at least. They're saying 2 billion now, 2 billion pounds.
Right. So if you take the price of copper per pound, which is measured in it, which is
270.
270, but
So that's 5.4 billion dollars of copper in the ground. But you can't look at that because you got to build you got to spend $500 million to get a mine in there to take it out. So you got to look at all this.
either way, is it worth?
It's cheap.
Is it worth
It's
more
cheap.
than $3.5 million?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But if copper doesn't move, probably, you know, we're betting on, and you know, you can't really transfer energy without copper. You need copper to transfer energy. It doesn't matter if it's oil. Doesn't matter if it's whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Just transferred.
Yeah.
And you need copper to do it. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we would like to talk to Khiron Life Sciences.
Okay. And are we?
We'll be doing that in a second, as soon as we can. Hopefully that'll work out. We're trying to do it to Bogota, Colombia, which, you know, has its challenges, but we would like to talk to Khiron as soon as possible. Until then, we had another chart we wanted to check out.
I just put up, and not to we can get to that chart, but I've got Afri up here. Afri is always a stock.
Up on the day, or how did Afria do today?
Here we go. Well, you know, this chart we've gone through this several times, and I'm getting pretty good at this, I think, at least in my own mind. There's this gap.
The thing about Afria to me, I'll just say this while you're pulling that up, is as soon as Health Canada approves their Phase 4, which is 700,000 square feet of grow,
Right.
that's more than double what they're growing right now on that facility. They have other things going on as well. So, you know, I keep saying this, but I feel like they're
it's still capped at $2.5 billion now.
Yeah, but I don't see that continuing to be the case.
But $2.5 billion is 2,500 million.
Right, but here, let me put it this way. The second Health Canada approves their Phase 4, they will be the second largest producer in Canada, second or third.
Right.
Pretty sure it's the second, though. So if you want to look at the top three companies by market cap, which currently Kronos occupies one of the spots.
But yeah, and look, I'd like to see, in this trend, it looks like, you know, depending on what lines you draw, but there's a steep drop, and then, you know, the bad article came out, and it's clawing its way back ever so gingerly.
Yeah, but people forget how large of a company Afria actually is.
Right.
That's the thing, which I think will come to bear in later in the year. After midpoint, say July, August, it'll start to become clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay. OH.
Chris?
You said OH. You want me to get OH up there?
No, I want to talk to Khiron right now.
Oh, here we are. Here we are.
Look at that. Are you in beautiful Bogota, Colombia right now?
I absolutely am. Greetings from Bogota. It's a beautiful day here. We're in central Bogota. The weather's just absolutely perfect, and glad to be on. I can't thank you enough for the coveted 4 p.m. on a Friday time slot.
Yeah, no, that's great. As you may or may not know, I was down there shooting your operation at some point last year, and I you know, it's a great place to be, Bogota, no matter what time. It's the same all year round, right?
Yeah, we don't have seasons here. So, at night it's maybe 9 or 10 degrees, and during the day it's between 14 and 20, and it's very livable.
Cool. So what's going on with Khiron these days? There's been a press release, I guess, today. So do you want to share with the viewers what's been going on?
Yeah, so this morning we released our second acquisition in the last 6 months. We're buying a company called NettaGrowth International. We pick up a license in Uruguay. It's a substantial license. It allows us for 120 tons of product, allows us to export dry flower. That's up to 170,000 plants. But more importantly, that's in the free trade zone with Brazil. So that gives us easy access into the Brazilian market. As Brazil is still working out its regulations, but as always, we're trying to be ahead of the curve and be very proactive in getting into those markets. But aside from license, aside from location and the uniqueness of that license is the people that come with this deal. So most notably for the Canadian audience would be Joe Mimram. Joe, everyone knows as Joe Fresh, Club Monaco, Alfred Sung, a dragon on CBC. Joe is an absolute retailing genius, a marketing guru by any definition, and he joins our board of our Colombian company. Also joining from their group is a gentleman named Mike Beck. For the viewers that have more of a history and resources, Mike is a renowned entrepreneur, a private capital guy, started and sold many companies. He and his partner, Steve Patels, have made many notable exits for billions of dollars, and we're just so glad that he's joined our board. So together we now have Chile, Colombia, now Uruguay. I think you'll expect another location from us soon, and we continue to grow the company and trying to fulfill our mission, which is to be the dominant player in Latin American cannabis.
That sounds great, and you didn't even have to jump on the Dragon's Den to prove it to anyone. So that's awesome.
Chris, it's Ed Milewski here, and I've just looked at your stock chart. You're over $1.70 today. You haven't been over that very often, but you must be doing something right, because a lot of the other companies in your space are sort of asleep, and you guys are moving in the right direction. Congratulations.
Well, thanks. Like as anything, we don't manage the stock price, but we try to create value and hope that that's recognized over time. And we've been able to do that with keeping the share count very, very low. We're over 30% insider owned. This deal won't change that materially one way or the other because of the insiders that are coming into our business. And we've been able to do that with trying to not dilute ourselves. So post this deal, we'll have in the neighborhood of 83 million shares basic, which is still something of a phenom to be under 100 million shares out. So a lot of building blocks have been put into place over the last 12 months. We only listed last May 24th. We've done a couple of raises since then, and now our second acquisition. So 2019 is going to be the year for Khiron. We couldn't be more excited about it.
That sounds great. How about an update on the Colombian grow operation? I was out there when it was sort of more or less in its infancy stage and things were being built out. What's the status there in plants in the ground scenario?
Well, we update our investor website, which is investors.khiron.ca. We update it almost every week with new photographs to keep everybody up to date and see exactly what we're doing. We have photos of the cultivation site there in Doima, Colombia. We've got it now in our greenhouse. We just had a site visit with some investors this week. They saw big, giant, healthy plants. There's over 6,000 of them in our main greenhouse. Construction is largely done. Our laboratory is erected and complete, now being fitted out with extraction equipment and everything else. So, the vast majority of the construction is behind us. So I invite investors to go and have a look on the website. There might be some videos on there as well to see the nature of this. So we're getting ready for phase 2, which is an expansion. Obviously, we're going to get ready for our cultivation in Chile, which is going to happen this spring, and we'll be getting to work in Uruguay just as soon as we can.
Okay, that sounds good. And as far as Uruguay is concerned, there's going to be a cultivation going on there. Are you allowed to bring plants there? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have a cultivation license there now. It's the only license of its type that allows us to export CBD and THC It allows us for up to 120 tons or 170,000 plants. So we've got the cultivation site picked out. As part of this deal, we picked up 3 fabulous people that are now employees of Khiron, and they will not only help us build out our presence in Uruguay, but also work on our strategy in Brazil. So expect more from us there in Brazil.
Great. Well,
Yeah, I got the chart up. If we want to put up the chart quickly, can we do that?
I think we can do whatever we want. Yeah, sure. We'll get the chart up there.
Yeah. So not to take Chris off, but yeah, look at we're getting close to the highs here. And then you know what? If you smoke some marijuana, you'll get high. Look at that. Heck,
Well,
it looks
yeah.
good. Looks good. Okay,
Well,
back to Chris. For a
Yeah, I
minute.
mean, Chris, I think just give you an opportunity to speak about the South American opportunity in general. Is it something that's still, perhaps a bit overlooked by investors who are either focused on strictly Canada or even the U.S.? Maybe sometimes South America is a little bit overlooked.
Yeah, I think we're vastly overlooked. Although a lot of people have applied for licenses here in Colombia, there's only a very few that have reached the kind of level of cultivation that we're at. Our market is 620 million people in Latin America. When you think about that for a moment, that's larger than the U.S. and Canada and German markets combined. But rather than having 300 or 400 competitors, I have 2 or 3 that I really have to worry about in my region currently. So that opportunity is massive. Most of our competitors are focused on low-cost cultivation for export in other markets. We also enjoy low-cost cultivation, but we're focused on branded product sales in the region that we care about most. And in that region, we're the only one selling CBD products now in Colombia. We've got licenses to sell in Peru. We've got product approvals already in Mexico. Mexico is the biggest news in cannabis that no one knows is going on. They've already tabled legislation for adult use and medicinal import, export, cultivation. So you're going to see that happen in the first half of the year. All those rules and regulations come down. There's a population of 130 million people. They have a massive middle class. If you look at any market, whether it be consumer packaged goods, cellular, automotive, Mexico's going to be in the top 10 in the world in all those product categories. So why not cannabis? So we're very much focused on that. Our director, former President Fox, was here with us this week in Bogota. We're making big plans for Mexico. We're hosting a conference there next month, a medical conference. And then in April, Central Fox and ourselves, we're co-hosting Canada Mexico, which will be the largest cannabis event of its type in Mexico. We invite you all down.
Hey, you know what? Nobody here is going to turn down the opportunity to go to Mexico or Bogota, which is Bogota is fantastic.
I think we should leave right now.
Well, we could. Just one last thing before we let you go, Chris. When it comes to Brazil, because you touched on it a bit earlier, what's your thoughts on Brazil moving forward? And if you had to sort of, guess at what's going to happen there.
I'll say the same thing about Brazil that I say about the rest of the world, is that cannabis is a global phenomenon. It's not stopping. Like the cat is out of the bag, and it's happening everywhere. If you look at the approval ratings on legalization of cannabis in some form, in almost every jurisdiction, they're well above 60%, as it is in the United States. So Brazil's a market of 240 million people. And we're not going to wait the day the regulation comes down to start to evangelize our products and services, to build relationships with doctors, to build relationships with doctors' associations and medical associations, and work on that very, very hard. There's a lot of groundwork that has to be done before you sell your first product or your first gram. So, we're doing that right now. I don't know why we would overlook a market as substantial as that.
All right, Chris. Well, sounds good. Thanks so much for joining us all the way from Colombia today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Have a great weekend.
There goes Chris Naprawa, who is the president of Khiron Life Sciences.
You get the sense that they're doing some good things here, like with Vicente Fox on the board, now bringing in Joe Mimran. That's a big market. Stock doesn't seem to be crazily priced. Like it's not like it's not a billion market cap relative to some of the other things, some of the other companies in the space. Looks like pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, James and I went down there last year to check it out.
Didn't I get to invite her? What the? Oh, I remember you said, you guys, you wait and we'll call you if we need you.
No, but it was, their offices are in Bogota, and then where they're actually growing. It's funny because Bogota is springtime all year round.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's perfect weather all the time.
It is perfect. You know, a lot of people they say they want 100 Fahrenheit or 30 Celsius. But when you're walking around.
In a steam room, maybe.
Yeah, but when you're walking around the streets, 18 is just about right.
Well,
and it's like that all year round.
I
But
know.
then we got on the like a 15-minute flight or less to go to where they're actually growing. 35 degrees, humid, and it's exactly 12 hours of sun and 12 hours of night.
Yeah, it's close to the
all
equator.
year round. Yeah. So it's great growing conditions. It's super cheap. Their water is dirt cheap. Everything about it was ideal. The only thing at the time was sort of like questions about the market. Is this going to take off?
Do they have the disposable income?
But not just that, but like Colombia at the time was just legalizing, getting their head around medical marijuana. And then you have the other South American countries who are sort of like still debating it. So at the time, it was sort of seen as a bigger risk than it is now.
Yeah.
Because now it's becoming more clear that it's going to do well down there.
Nobody seems to talk about Venezuela when they talk about South America. I mean,
Caracas.
Well, they're having their problems there, right? There's in the front page of the Globe yesterday, or was it today? Or there's two people vying for the president's job, and anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. No, but I mean, when you look at all everything going on, there's a lot of huge countries. There's a lot of potential, and some of it's already being realized. So, Khiron, I think, is in a really good spot. They got in early. They became market leaders right away.
They got top talent there, and I think the chairman is. I know that I can't remember his name right now, but he's a competent businessman. I think this is going to be one that you'd want to keep your eye on.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. So we should pull up another chart. What do we have here? There's papers everywhere.
You know what?
I just want to remind
put up
folks,
a symbol, and I'll pull it up.
We're going to do some symbols. Stick around to the end of the show, though, because we're doing bloopers because it's Friday and we want to have fun. So
we want to have fun.
We want to have fun. OH. Origin House, formerly Canna Royalty. To me, it's the same as Kronos, where they've been more or less more protected to the downside than their competitors, but enjoying the upside. So they're at over $9 today.
You know what? I'm having trouble here right now because my OH, and that is on what exchange again, please?
The CNX. So,
Origin House.
Yeah,
902 up 7.38%.
Yeah.
And look, and I'll just say, can we get the chart up, please? We had this big move when we went legal, and look at that. Look, let's not go there. You got to do this in the right sequence, or else nothing happens. But big move, blow off top, major correction, and now. We're at, this is the second best run we've had in this company. We've gone past this little blip. Mm-hmm. We're up in here. We're not far away. This is where it gets a little, rarefied. I get the sense in this market, the companies that are doing really well, people are doing their homework and saying these are the better companies. I don't think they're going up on hot air, for instance. Maybe...
some hot air.
I got some hot air.
Infused air. Yeah.
So I got a joke here that I can use. I can do it. I can just. It's a diagram joke. What do you think?
Lay it on me. Let's go.
Want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
We're not above the.
We're not above this. I'm going to need a little space here. This was told to me when I was a young fella. Just a second here. So there's a rabbit. Okay. Just a second here. This is you're gonna like this. So there's a little rabbit here. Right? Okay, that's the rabbit. And then there's a hunter. Hunter. I'm not going to draw that, but. And then the rabbit.
Whoa, that hunter is packing.
He should be a little higher, but so the rabbit goes into this log. Okay, he's chasing this rabbit. He can't find the rabbit. He sees the rabbit sneak in this big hollow log, right? And he says, "How am I going to get this rabbit?" So he says, "You know what? I'm going to take this saw that I have, and I'm going to cut the saw in 3 places." He goes like this, and like this. And he still can't find the rabbit. So what does he do? He says, "Well, I think it's in this one section here." So he goes like that. Can't find the rabbit. Where did the rabbit go? The rabbit went to Ohio. Anyway.
That's quite the build-up for that.
Yeah, well.
You know, I just saw...
I was told that when I was about 12 years old.
That's a good memory.
You know, so, well, it's good. It's a good joke. Ohio.
I was just looking at the tickers rolling by at the bottom. It's gone now, but MPX, we were going to talk about anyway, looks like it made a large move towards the end of the day.
Well, let's take a look.
And I think it climbed all the way to $1.06. Now, MPX is the company that is making they're being kind of taken over by Ianthus at the end of this month. So they only have a few trading days.
Is that CNX?
Yes. And that's MPX. And so what's happening is Ianthus is going to remain as a company.
Wow.
MPX shareholders will receive shares in Ianthus, as well as potentially, depending on when you bought, MPX International, which has been formed but yet to be determined the valuation there. So these two companies combining, though, people should know, is going to be quite the force. MPX was already right up there in revenues a while ago, as well as their locations. They're in, Massachusetts. I think the combined entity has something like 55 locations.
Stock chart says it's grinding higher.
Yeah.
It's grinding higher. You could have bought it the stock a year and a half ago for 30 cents, or just above 30 cents. It's now looks like about $1.05, $1.06.
Yeah, but that's if you can.
So it's tied to now. It's going to be tied to Ianthus.
What is that? A 2-year chart, though.
That's it.
But let's do something a lot more recent, because.
Like 1 day.
No, like maybe even a month or.
Let's do a month.
Because we're looking at the ramp up towards.
The ramp up.
Well, it's going to be Ianthus shares.
So you're going to be able to swap they're going to do an exchange on a predetermined ratio.
Yeah, it's something like 0.1.
Has management agreed to do this?
Yeah, it's all agreed to. So every amp.
And when is that going to take place?
At the end of the month, apparently.
So you punch this in February, you're not going to get anything anymore. It's going to be swallowed up by.
That's right. Yeah. So in the last percentage I heard was for every MPX share you get 0.167 Ianthus shares. So.
Wow.
And Ianthus is trading at something like $6, and MPX now is shooting up to 107, which is the highest it's been in quite a while. So, it's interesting because it's actually happening. You have a market cap in MPX of 432 million. We're showing right now.
So there's quite a few shares here.
Yeah, but then you look at Ianthus.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying the two.
What's the ticker for Ianthus?
IAN, IAN, and it's at 640 today.
What exchange? IAN on the.
I just had it here.
CA, I think it is. No, it's on the CNX.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway,
so now we're going to put up Ianthus. Okay, let's take a look.
To me, it's a pretty. And their market cap is actually lower than MPX. It's 375 million.
Really? So it's in terms of market cap, it's almost a
Well, we had Scott Boys
combination of equals.
Except that Ianthus has been steadily increasing over time, where MPX has been more or less more flat. And the CEO of MPX was on here saying, you know, MPX, it didn't really gather the traction it deserves, so this merger sort of made sense for both of them.
Okay.
But combined, it seems like a really, really big force. Like if you look at the other multi-state operators, like if Acreage, Curaleaf, I don't know if TrueLeaf is yet, Liberty Health will be at some point. They're looking at other states. I'm just saying these two as a combined entity is a major, major force, I think. So we'll see what happens when the transaction actually completes. But
okay,
it's definitely something to watch and see what happens with the price action.
I got to point out too before we go into the blooper phase. Gold closed on the nearby month, which is what I look at, over 1,300. So it was around $12.97 when we were having lunch. It closed up another $5. I'm going to put that chart up again. Just saying.
Just saying. Oh, by the way, you can't see this because it's too far away.
So
but this is the Just Saying mug, by the way.
This is the ETF again, and I'm just going to look on my gold closed. It's still trading at 1302. Up 1.7%, copper's up 3.31%, silver's up 3%. Big day for the metals. For something, I got to go over my economic news and see. Did the Fed say something about, you know, we're gonna put our foot on the accelerator, or maybe the world economy is showing some growth or something, but something's happened in the commodity pit.
Heavy metal.
Go forth and prosper.
Okay, with that, let's go to our bloopers. We'll say goodbye to everyone, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Heavy metal.
Peace, bro.
If I was to say, Ed, show me a basket case, what would you show me?
I just put a picture of me. This is what you would call you got the classic spike here.
Yeah.
And look at this. Look at this now.
Whoa.
What does that look like?
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for having me on your show.
That's like, you take that gold right over to the Johnson, what do you call the guys that, it doesn't matter.
Houndstooth from Tweed, which cost us $35.50.
Yesterday was now then, and tomorrow will be now then.
Let's see how many viewers we lost with that little conversation.
Yeah. Everybody's going for a drink.
Going to the teacher, the factor. We're having a comedy day here.
So can we get back to, jeez, what the hell are you doing?
She's pulling down your shirt. You look like a bit of a hunchback there. We're going to use the big things like this to say legitimately elected government. Actually, did you get enough of that? This is like bigger than a friendly giant.
I got little nipple action there, yeah.
Jesus.
How come James gets batteries and I don't get some?
Now you're feeding me the questions, is that it? Since when have you been on the wagon?
Ask me when I started.
Wait a minute. Hey, Ed, how long have you been on the wagon?
Oh, funny you should ask. I went on the wagon.
It's what time it is, Ed.
Yeah, cowboy.
Let me see your bell closing move there again, please. It looks more like, you know.
Hello. Do you know that the cow's stomach isn't built to digest corn? It's total bullshit. It gives them gas, big gas. Stand behind a cow sometime that's been eating corn. Ooh, I'll tell you.
Well, actually, I used to chase cows around on an old Alice Chalmers tractor, and then they lift up their tail and started shitting while they ran. And next thing you know
why
I'm
they
like,
do that? You know why they do that? You know why they do that? It's to lighten up the load so they can run faster.
Well, they did outrun me. In fact, I was blinded by poo, so I had to slow down and wipe the shit out of my face.
Did you notice that as they shift, they start picking up speed?
Oh boy.
It's like a rocket ship.
Okay, so-
blasting out gas.
So tomorrow we're going to a farm. And we're going to put Ed's theory to the test. First of all,
No taste.
first, the prompter's in a color I cannot read it.
That propulsion from the flatulence.
Oh, I see.
And they just
So
sit
it's
there
like a
and they-
turbocharged cow.
Turbocharged cow. Turboprop.
Turboprop. So what?
Turbo poop. Sorry, turbo poop.
Turbo poop.